In a small village called Ifite, there lived a young woman named Adora. She was 18 years old, with big dreams and a bright smile. Ifite was a peaceful village where everyone worked hard and lived simple lives. The people of the village were kind, and their culture was very important to them. The girls of Ifite grew up learning to be strong and virtuous, and most of them stayed true to their values until they got married. The men were known for their honesty and hard work. Adora's mother often told her, "Adora, I want you to become big, but always remember to do the right things." But Adora was different. She was not content with the small life of Ifite. She often told her mother, "I don't belong here. I want to go far beyond this village. I want to be rich and successful." Her mother would sigh and say, "My daughter, I understand your dreams, but remember that there is no easy way. Do the right things and the right things will come true." Adora didn't listen. She was desperate. She dreamt of a life with shiny clothes, big houses, and endless adventures. "I will do whatever it takes to get out of this village," she whispered to herself. One day, something happened that seemed like a dream come true. Some youth corpers, young graduates who volunteered to serve the country, were posted to Ifite. Among them was a young lady named Lyris. She was tall, with beautiful hair, sparkling eyes, and clothes that made Adora's heart race. Lyris looked like someone from a city far, far away. Someone rich and glamorous. She had fancy shoes, big sunglasses, and always wore shiny watches and pretty wigs. Adora couldn't believe her eyes. When Lyris was posted to the school where Adora went, the two became friends. Lyris was kind to Adora, and Adora loved the way Lyris lived. She was everything Adora had ever dreamed of: stylish, confident, and free. Lyris seemed to know so much about the world, and Adora listened to her with her eyes wide open. One afternoon, as they sat under the shade of a big tree, Lyris said, "Adora, I see the fire in your eyes. You want to leave this village, don't you?" Adora nodded eagerly. "Yes, I want a better life. I want to see the world." Lyris smiled. "I can help you with that. After my service here, I'm going to travel abroad to a Western country. I can take you with me. We can start a new life together." Adora's heart skipped a beat. "Really? You will take me with you?" she asked in disbelief. "Of course, I know a way to make big money, a life full of luxury, with no worries," Lyris promised. Adora felt like her dreams were finally come true. Over the next few weeks, Lyris showed Adora pictures on her phone, pictures of big cities, bright lights, and fancy restaurants. Adora was amazed. She had heard stories about Western countries, but she never imagined she could go there. "I want this life," Adora thought in herself. "I want to be rich and happy as Lyris." One evening, Adora sat down with her mother. She took a deep breath and said, "Mama, Lyris has promised to take me abroad. She says I will live a life full of luxury and success. She says we will make a lot of money." Her mother frowned. "Adora, my daughter, I don't trust that girl. You don't know what kind of life she lives. Please think carefully. There are better ways to succeed." But Adora was determined. She shook her head. "Mama, this is my chance. I have to go. I can't stay here forever. I will make you proud." Her mother didn't know what to say. She was worried, but Adora had already made up her mind. Adora waited for the right moment. One night, when the moon was high in the sky, she quickly packed her things. She whispered goodbye to her mother, hoping she wouldn't hear. With a heavy heart, Adora sneaked out of the house and met Lyris at the edge of the village. They hugged, and without a word, they left the village behind. Adora was scared, but also excited. She was going to start a new life. As they left Ifite, Adora looked back one last time. "Goodbye, Mama," she whispered, not knowing what her future would hold. Adora and Lyris traveled for days, crossing many borders, until they finally arrived in a faraway land. The city was big and loud, with tall buildings that seemed to touch the sky. The streets were filled with cars, and everywhere Adora looked, there were bright lights and people who seemed to be in a hurry. It was everything she had ever imagined. Lyris showed Adora her new home, a small apartment in the middle of the city. It was different from the simple village home Adora had grown up in, but it felt exciting. Lyris smiled and said, "Adora, welcome to your new life. Here, we will make money, live in luxury, and never worry again." Adora felt a sense of hope in her heart. She had left the village for this. Her dream was finally coming true. But what Adora didn't know was that Lyris had a secret, one that would change her life forever. One evening, as they sat together, Lyris looked at Adora seriously. "Adora," she began, "I need to tell you something. What I do here, it's not what you think. This isn't just about luxury. It's about something much bigger." Adora's heart began to race. "What do you mean?" she asked nervously. Lyris took a deep breath. "The business I'm in, it's prostitution." Adora's eyes widened in shock. "What? No, that can't be true." "I'm sorry, Adora," Lyris said, her voice soft, "but it is the truth. This is how we make the money we need to live this life. I've been doing it for years, and I can show you how. You will see, it's not bad as it sounds." Adora felt sick in her stomach. She couldn't believe it. This wasn't the life she had dreamed of. She wanted to run away, but Lyris had already promised her everything. What could she do now? Days passed, and Adora couldn't stop thinking about what Lyris told her. She missed her mother, her village, and the life she had left behind. But there was no way to go back now. She had come too far. "I never thought it would be like this," Adora thought, staring out of the window at the busy city below. "I just wanted a better life, but now I feel trapped." Lyris noticed Adora's sadness. "Don't worry, Adora. You get used to it. The money is good, and soon you'll be just like me, successful and free." Adora didn't know what to say. She felt lost, but she couldn't go back. Adora spent the next few weeks trying to adjust to the new life in the city. Each day felt heavier than the last. The money was good, and the luxury was unlike anything she had ever seen before, but the happiness she had once imagined felt so far away. Every time she looked in the mirror, she no longer recognized the girl who once dreamed of a bright future, a future filled with dignity and respect. At first, Adora tried to push away her feelings of guilt. She told herself she was doing this for the greater good. She had left Ifite for a reason, to make a better life for herself, to achieve something grand. She had always believed that if she worked hard enough, she would find success. But the path she was now on felt wrong, as if she had sacrificed her soul for the life she is living. Lyris, however, seemed to have no such doubt. She moved through the days with confidence, as though everything she was doing was perfectly normal. She had a way of making it seem glamorous. She would talk about the wealth they would soon have, the new clothes they could buy, the freedom they would enjoy once they had earned enough money. She told Adora, "You will see, Adora, it's not bad as you think. You just have to get used to it. The money will make you forget everything else." Adora wasn't sure if she believed Lyris anymore. The lifestyle that once seemed like a dream now felt like a cage. The days blurred into each other. Sometimes she would sit in her small apartment staring at the walls, wondering how she ended up here. Is this all I am now? Is it the price of success? She asked herself. But there was no going back. Adora had already made her choices. She had told her mother she was leaving for a better life. Now, she couldn't bear the thought of returning home empty-handed. How could she face her village after all this? The villagers, the ones who had once looked up to her dreams, would never understand. She had made a promise to herself, to her mother, to everyone she knew. She would not fail, but the weight of her actions made her feel small. One night, after coming back from a night out with clients, Adora collapsed on the couch, feeling numb. Lyris came in, sitting beside her. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but knowing. Adora didn't respond immediately. The silence stretched between them, and for a moment she wondered if Lyris truly understood the emptiness she felt. "I'm fine," Adora finally muttered, even though she wasn't. "Just tired." "You get used to it," Lyris said, brushing the stray lock of hair from Adora's face. "You have to. It's the only way to survive here." Adora closed her eyes, trying to block out the tears that threatened to spill. She wanted to believe that things would get better, that the money, the clothes, the fancy parties would make her happy. But deep inside, she knew that she was losing herself piece by piece. Weeks turned into months, and the money continued to flow. Adora had more than enough to buy whatever she wanted: expensive jewelry, designer clothes, and even a shiny new car. But none of it brought her joy she had hoped for. Every time she went to a store and bought something new, she could feel the emptiness inside her grow. It was as if the more she had, the more she lost. She had become a different person, one she didn't even recognize. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she saw a woman who was wealthy, but there was no light in her eyes. The person staring back at her was someone who had traded her values, her dignity, and her dreams for the hollow promise of success. Even though she had money now, Adora didn't feel proud. She didn't feel accomplished. Every night, she would return to her apartment, feeling the weight of the choices she had made. Lyris would always say the same thing: "This is how the world works. You can't change it, Adora. You've got to play the game if you want to win." But Adora didn't want to play the game anymore. She just wanted to escape, to go back to the time when life was simple, when she had dreams that didn't come with the price tag. One evening, as she walked along the city streets, she passed a group of children playing in the park. They were laughing, carefree, their faces glowing with happiness. Adora stopped for a moment, watching them. A sharp pain pierced her chest as she thought about her own childhood, the village of Ifite, and the dreams she once had of becoming a woman of value, someone who could make a difference in the world. Now, all of that seemed so far away. "How did I get here?" she whispered to herself, her voice trembling. "How did I lose myself?" But there was no one to answer. Few years later, Adora came back very wealthy. She was so wealthy that she single-handedly built community roads, hospitals, and other social amenities for the village. The villagers, blinded by her gifts, were proud of her. They quickly forgot how she escaped with release. Adora built a foundation for young girls above 18 years in the village. She promised to take them abroad too. Every family struggled to put their children in her foundation. Adora packed so many village girls with her abroad and started using them for prostitution. She made them make a vow never to disclose to anyone. The villagers were so happy that most girls were now abroad living a good life, and most especially as they often sent money to them. Adora had made them to send this money to avoid them suspecting her. As more and more girls from Ifite joined Adora's foundation, the reality of what was happening began to sink in. Adora wasn't really helping them escape. She was only pulling them into the same trap she had fallen into. She made them promise never to tell anyone about the life. They were all expected to be silent and obedient, to never speak of a thing that really happened behind closed doors. One by one, the girls were lost. They became part of the same world that Adora had entered years ago. A world of secrecy and shame. They too would have to do the thing they didn't want to do, things they could never undo. Adora knew this was wrong, but she kept going. She had built an empire on lies, and now it was too late to turn back. One of the new girls, named Amaka, had joined Adora's foundation with the dream of a better life. She had heard of Adora's wealth and success and believed she was going to be part of something special. But when she arrived abroad, she soon realized that the life she had imagined was a lie. The luxury, the clothes, the fancy dinners, they were all part of the disguise. Amaka quickly discovered that she had been brought to this foreign land for a much darker purpose, to go into prostitution. She was trapped, but Amaka was smart. She kept quiet at first, pretending to go along with Adora's plans, watching carefully. She saw how Adora controlled the other girls and how they were all forced to keep silent and do things that they didn't want to do. But Amaka wasn't going to let herself become like the others. She started making plans to escape, quietly watching for an opportunity. She knew she couldn't trust the other girls. They would tell Adora what she was planning. Amaka kept her plans secret, knowing that if she failed, she would be in greater danger. One night, Amaka saw her chance. She slipped out of the house while everyone was asleep, running into the dark streets of the city. She had no idea where she was going, but she knew she couldn't stay another day in that life. She was lucky. A kind citizen found her and took her to the authorities. They listened to her story, and soon the police were involved. Adora's world came crashing down. Lyris was arrested first. Adora tried to escape, but the police were waiting for her. The truth was finally out. Adora and Lyris were arrested. The authorities shut down their business, and the girls who had been trapped in their world were freed. The police began investigating the full extent of Adora's crime. The girls who had been forced into prostitution were given counseling and support to help them heal from the trauma they had suffered. The girls were sent back to their village. The people of Ifite were devastated when they learned the truth about Adora's action. The same Adora who had built roads and hospitals had destroyed so many lives. The villagers wailed in grief, realizing that the woman who they had once looked up to had been hiding a dark secret. Adora had everything she had ever wanted: wealth, power, luxury, but at the cost of everything that had once mattered to her. Now, all that was left were the broken lives of the girls she had hurt and the empty space where the dreams used to be. Adora was arrested by the authorities and kept in confinement to face the law, while the villagers mourned the girls whom Adora had destroyed.